I'd like to call the meeting back to order and welcome everybody for this as we get back into public session here. We were in closed session a little bit earlier. This evening, welcome you to the monthly meeting here for the School District Amery Board of Education, and get things rolling right off the bat with our consent agenda items. I had the vouchers, and I would make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Second from Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Community comments. Is there anybody here to speak? Anyone? Great. Our administrative reports, Mr. Shield.
Good evening. I have a notice that came from WASB here today regarding the elections for a seat as a Region 1 representative for board members. If you recall, Sid Bjorkman was a long-time region representative from the school district here. If you're interested, I do have the nomination papers here. They're due in writing by August 28th, and then the election is October 6th up at Chicago. That's where this year's meeting will be up north there. So I wanted to tell you about that. All I have.
Anybody else have anything over here? Okay, I'd like to take just a quick second. Everybody knows that the elephant in the room is the fact that Mr. Shield has retired. Well, not effective today yet, but pretty quickly here. He will be leaving and heading out to other family in Colorado. So I would like to, I don't know, we should stand up. Let's roll. Sorry. Yeah. So, everybody shake your hand. We have a plaque we'd like to present. It's just presented to Stephen Shield in grateful appreciation for 14 years serving the school district of Amery and helping to make our children, school, leaders in our society today. Presented this day by the Amery Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Appreciate it very much.
So Mr. Shield this will be his last official duties, I think, tonight, or is it tomorrow? Tomorrow. Okay, so we'll be wishing you well, and we have a lot of work. We'll be talking about that, but thank you for what you've done for this district. You've taken us through quite a few challenging times over the past several years. You started out day one with a building project, and it didn't get much easier after that. So thank you. And the school is better today than when you came. So we appreciate that. Always a good legacy to leave it better than when you found it. Okay. Now we can move on to our informational items. First off, our district administrator search. And we just want to update the community on where we are sitting right now as of today. As of this very moment, we have hired, we will be finalizing the contract, but we officially have hired the WASB to do our search for a new district administrator. We've hired Roger Fagel. Roger is former district administrator in Alaska, I think, and lives in Alaska. I don't remember his. Actually, Chelsea did a nice job on his biography in the newspaper, so you can read that. Read the paper to get his biography. But Roger's working closely with us to help identify and hopefully hire our next district administrator. I think I can kind of speak on behalf of the board. Jump in if I misspeak. But our plans really are, as far as a permanent solution, it's really twofold. We'd like to move ahead quickly. However, we don't want to hire the wrong person just because we were trying to move quickly. So it will be our intention to get this done if we can find the right person before school starts in September. But if we are not able to find the right person, then we're prepared to dig in for the long haul and make sure that it's the right decision. I could tell the board that Roger called me this evening just to give me an update. We've had our position posted for a week, and he's already received 9 phone calls of people that will be sending him they'll be applying, and he said that's extremely encouraging. He said because not everybody calls that's going to do it, and he said it's a good mix, but he said that he's expecting quite a few people. He says there's quite a bit of interest in this position, so I think that's good for us. He said that he believed that our timetable that we had kind of set up, and again, that was in the paper, is he said, you know, with the number of people that have already shown interest in this position, that he thought that would be a good, that we could still stay with this timetable. And I assured him that that would be great, but we won't make that decision until we get to that point. So, so that's great that we have, and he said that the applicants are already from people that are principals to people that are currently working as district administrators, and people that are not with a job right now. So that's great. So, okay. Anything else anybody wanted to add on that? As far as we worked earlier today, and we'll be working this evening again, following our open session on an interim plan, and where we go from that. We hope to have a decision tonight by the time we get out of closed session, to be able to announce, and we'll certainly let you know so whatever we decide at the time the night is over with. Okay? Questions on that? We're good. The next one is banning public parking on fields. Well, I want to say, and this is Mr. Shield. Oh, you put your name on this. Good, because I was ready. I didn't see your name. I can take it because it's my thing. So, and it's been my thing for a while. But I can tell you, we are going to, Keith and I are going to be meeting, and I should really just trust the board on this, building and grounds soon, but we really need to come up with a plan and a policy for the school, or a procedure, to work with our building principals and with Bill and George to really develop our parking policy out on our grass fields. We have a tendency, because we have some fields that are a long ways away for people to walk, for a lot of people to be driving across our fields. And we've tried in years past to do different things to channel people in different directions, but there's a couple of real concerning areas to me on the building and grounds. One of them is the area right over by the tennis courts, where folks sometimes will drive and park their cars so they can watch a soccer game. Last year we had that happen one time, and we actually ended up putting pylons across, if you remember. But we had a problem last year in the rain, that all the vehicles sunk, and there were ruts in there that I think you can still see if you walk out there today, just because the vehicles were out there. But the big one I saw, I'm thinking last Thursday, and there was some ball game going on at the JV baseball field, and it was raining, and I counted about 25 cars parked around the center field, along with a tent where some party was going on. But the two things that really got me is a school bus that had driven down the road that we don't want people to drive down and parked itself in the grass, the St. Croix Falls school bus. And the big one was some people had gone to park behind the high school and then try to look at the game, you know, that way. But because there were so many cars parked, they couldn't see the game. So they drove across our soccer field and our baseball or our football practice field to get out to center field. And there's ruts out there. And my concern is now we're going to start practicing, and we're going to have kids slipping ankles in ruts because of cars. We last year had a problem over at the JV field that people were parked on the little kids' soccer field, the OSO field, and the kids weren't even able to practice because people had parked there and were driving across that. So I think we as a district, and we can certainly help on the building and grounds, need to come up with a solution to stop that, just because I think it's become a safety issue, along with a myriad of other reasons. I think I have an understanding that there are some people that, whether they're disabled or just not able to walk, you know, some of those distances. I think we need to be sensitive to that and see if we can come up with a solution. I think there are some solutions that I will propose, and we'll have this on for a board agenda item next month, hopefully. But some of the things I was thinking about is for like the soccer games, if you have a handicapped or a person who's elderly that can't walk, or for whatever reason, maybe somebody's just on crutches, that maybe there's a way we could have, I think there's a place behind the school, there's that little pad there on the back of the greenhouse that you can usually fit 1 or 2 cars, so we've had people park there that can see into the soccer field, and the same thing with the road down the JV here. Maybe there's a way we can open that up for people that have difficulties, and maybe it's as simple as just applying through the school or through the for a parking pass, and then expecting our our game supervisors, our booster programs that are out playing, and that not let people park out there, because I think we've just gotten to the point now where it's gotten out of hand. Because one person's seat, you know, it's not a problem when it's one or two, but now it's gotten where we have 25 and 30 cars when it's split out there. I think we've crossed that line. I think there's, then down the road, that there's some discussion that we need to have regarding the football field and the parking that goes along there. I would like to personally reserve some of that for for people that pay to watch the games, as the rest of the community does, and B, for handicapped people to be able to park and watch those games in those spots, and maybe to open that up also to a permit type situation. Not a permit where you have, you know, just, hey, I can't make it, can I park here? And just so we can police that and know how many people, I think that might be a solution. But the reason we put this on tonight was to get opinions from everybody else before we come up with a plan.
This has actually been a problem since my kids were young. I do remember actually during soccer, little kids were running and some people didn't see them. And it was very close. And I have a big concern for that since then, and the damage of the property as well. So I don't know if it would be fencing off, if you would just say grass areas. I mean, how would you?
Well, I don't know, and I think Steve can attest to this. A couple of years ago, several years ago, they tried to do that for the football games to keep people from parking from the field over there. And I think Steve said that was probably one of the most controversial decisions that was ever made, with the amount of flack that we got saying we want to park out there. Well, okay, so maybe we give that part away, you know, and say, all right, we understand that. You know, I mean, I think there's some flexibility in there. I think my opinion, and I think you echo it, is that there's a couple of very significant areas, and the one is that JV field, and the driving that, you know, that goes across. And when I saw him going across that football field, that was really, really bad.
Driving across the fields, leaving ruts.
25
We
people,
can't have
25
that.
cars out there having whatever. There was a tent up and everything else.
But the biggest concern is as a community member coming in, how are they know where they can and can't park?
Well, I know,
I mean,
that's what we have
why
to
I said
figure
it should
out.
be none or some, because it's really, you can't say a little here, a little here, because I know I would come in and not, oh, is this where I'm supposed to park or not?
I just know that if we make it all or none, and not flexible, in at least the discussion, we're gonna get burned at the stake on some things, would be my thought. But I think that's good input, that we look at that as well. I know that will be an issue. I mean, parking's a problem. Let's identify a little problem here for sporting events. And that field is probably the worst out of all of them, just because of its sheer distance from anything. But we have to play with the hand we were dealt on that. I just think there's compromise in there somewhere. We'll make sure that, I mean, I got a kid that plays JV baseball. I mean, I know there are grandmas and grandpas that can't walk that far down there, so I think we need to be sensitive. But the problem is, even the grandmas and grandpas that can't, now there's going to be enough people parking around that they can't even see when they're parked, because it's turned into a field of dreams, you know, where they light it all up with the headlights. It's kind of turned into that. And I'm not being critical of anybody specifically, because you just do what everybody else does. I get that. I don't think anybody's out there trying to wreck grass, or cause safety problems. But now when we're gonna have a little kid twist their leg or something like that, I don't know. What do you think?
It's only gonna get worse. So,
Yeah, we can't have people driving across football practice fields. So we gotta come up with a plan. I don't know, probably not gonna solve it tonight, but get a plan in place.
Do you like that idea of being able to open that up for people that need extra assistance, or if we
Oh,
can
yeah.
sign? I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to have established handicap.
Yep.
That I would say.
Or permit
Say
parking.
established.
Get little signs,
Yeah.
handicap signs. Even
And-
if
and I
they're the
think-
ones that stick in the ground like like they have it.
I take suggestions from the administrative staff too, because you guys have to deal with it too. You can let us be the bad guys on it, but if you got any ideas.
That's not at all, it's just I don't have any ideas to
Yeah.
solve the problem right here and now.
No,
So,
think on it. I
something
think
new.
we will probably have a building and grounds meeting probably in 2 weeks or so to discuss this, and if you want to come to it, you're certainly welcome to, just to kick around those ideas, but.
It's a huge safety problem
It-
driving across the field, not just for football, but for soccer and everything else. Can't do it.
No, it is. Yeah, so.
So come up with
We'll come up with something when George gets back from vacation, so. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay. All right, next, the budget discussion. Slide is on.
15-16 is underway. It's going as we had hoped. Our Baird model has kept it close. July 1, the state does offer us an estimate of where they think our equalization aid will come in. It was slightly less than what the Baird model and I had kind of predicted, but it's close and we're still on track. So still working on it and still wrapping up 14-15. So two things coming, and the auditors will be joining us next Monday.
All right. Any questions for Joanne? All right, next, Chelsea, retiree use of HRA for COBRAs.
Okay. Last year, we established the HRA accounts to compensate for the termination of post-retirement health insurance benefits. And the purpose of the HRA funds were to enable retired teachers to purchase a plan suited for their individual needs and give them more control over their healthcare costs. And also for the district to be able to budget a sum certain in post-retirement liability instead of budgeting for the increasing cost of insurance premiums. And from the board's perspective, from my understanding, the primary, if not the sole reason for terminating post-retirement health insurance was to save the district money to accommodate the state's deep budget cuts that have gone into place over the past years. And following the implementation of this new program, it was recommended by an actuary, I believe from Key Benefits, that the administration disallow COBRA premiums to be drawn from the retiree HRA accounts. And so the administration just followed the recommendation since they're in charge of managing that plan. And I just wanted to bring this up because I think that this decision should, be part of the board's input. I think that by disallowing COBRA is contrary to the rationale behind the entire HRA, which was called the HR Premium Program. First of all, the overall cost of COBRA continuation coverage to the district is offset by the fact that the retired teacher is actually paying the premium for the entire coverage. They're paying it out of their own HRA funds, and therefore the cost to the district for the use of COBRA is nominal. Second, the continuation, and some might think, well, it might affect next year's premium or premiums in the future, but I still think that the continuation of the retired teacher under the existing health policy does not result in a change to the number of the covered individuals because the cost in premium was already factored into the existing premium charge. And also, COBRA only lasts 18 months. I think that coverage is temporary, so the expense associated with the retired teacher will, in due time, it will just decline. Fourth, by disallowing the retired teacher from choosing COBRA, I believe was contrary to our intent because last year at the meeting, it was called HRA premium coverage. And last, federal law demands that COBRA be available regardless of our restriction on the use of HRA funds because the teacher can purchase HRA coverage with their own private funds and retain the HRA funds forever. I mean, that money is given to them over the next 7 years or 8 years. This is just an informational item this month. I would like it to become an action item next month and make the recommendation that we should allow HRA funds to purchase COBRA coverage if the retired teacher wants to do so. I think in all practical application, it's going to be a rare occurrence since the exchange is typically more beneficial, but I do believe that it's the retired teacher's money and it's the retired teacher's choice of health insurance coverage, and I don't see how it would have a major impact on our future liability, and to disallow it just seems petty. That's all.
I have I have several thoughts on that. I understand what you're coming from. I understand that you say it be a rarity. And the truth is, it would be a rarity. Right now, if you're out there shopping, you can get a much cheaper coverage out there if you're out there. I understand that the fact that this teachers, my concern is number one, if we allow them to use this for the COBRA, it's gonna, because they're used to the normal of what they always wanna do, it's gonna stop them from going and looking and seeing how much better coverage they can get for their money. They can save a lot of money and go further if they have that funds for that. The other concerns are, as you had brought up, is we go by our experience, and our experience is gonna go up if we keep these people on it doesn't matter if they're COBRA or if they're on our normal, the experience counts towards the school district. And it does increase what our premiums are. I think really the only time you're gonna see anybody even want to utilize it for COBRA is if somebody's significant other is making too much money when they go out to shop for insurance. If somebody retires, if their significant other is making too much money, that's the only time that I can see any difference in what's gonna happen with, it being probably more. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
When you're out there shopping? Did you have something to say?
I'd like to add also, there is a lot of administration on the legality side of COBRA. They have minimum days to actually say that they want to continue, in which case we're paying premiums, then they're being refunded back. Then you have 18 months to track this person, in which case they pay a company that administers the COBRA. We pay the bill to our carrier, Health Partners, Medica, whoever it may be. Then that money gets transferred to us. There's a 2 to 3 month lag time into the transfer to when they cancel and when they don't. If it was one person, yes, keeping track of all of that and making sure that you have legally given them every form in the exact amount of right time, in the right days, one person probably wouldn't be a big deal. But if you had one or two, it's an administrative burden, especially to our small district where we don't have a COBRA department. So just a consideration in that there's a lot of legality between the date that notices are given, how long it takes for them. They get X amount of days to either accept it or deny it, 60 days, I believe, and in the meantime, we pay the premium. If they don't take it, it's a credit back. It goes through benefit extras. It's quite a tracking nightmare.
Here's the thing,
I don't want you to not think that part. It isn't just, oh, they just stay on the bill. There is quite a bit of background and.
Well, that much is true, but I want us to be honestly, when it comes to COBRA, it is legality, period. Everything is by time. It doesn't matter, you have this kind of time, and it doesn't matter whether they choose it or not, you still have to do that.
And that's
So-
what I'm saying, if you get more than one, and one person accepts it within 30 days, but the other not within 60 days, then nobody's on the same timetable, and you've got these people still on your bill, one in a different calendar, 18 months, another one's rolling in 18 months, and I don't wanna miss some, it's a little complicated, can it be done? Yes.
But
It is.
Let me
but
ask you a
unfortunately,
question.
that is something we-
Part of it
We're
was
not-
simplicity.
We're not discussing whether or not they can be on COBRA, there's nothing precluding from somebody.
No.
So I have my HRA that we've put into, but if somebody wants to stay on our plan, they can pay out of their own pocket. All
Yes, they
we're
can.
asking is, where can that money come from? So it's not precluding either way. It's still, they can still be on COBRA regardless. All that Chelsea's talking about is, how can they pay for that COBRA? Do they have to write a check out of their own pocket, or can they take it from their HRA? That's the only, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
So there's nothing right now, even if by saying no, by the way we are, they can still be on COBRA the exact same they could. We're just looking at at allowing them to use their money, that's their money, to be able to be used in a different, to be able to use that way. That's basically all you're asking, right?
Yes.
recommended by the actuaries in that that is the way, not just Amery, many people who are trying to reduce their OPEB liability have chose to go that route because it's one more factor in keeping your OPEB liability down.
But what I'm saying is, pull that in or put it out, people can still be on COBRA, so how does it affect it, is my question.
The way it affects it is that hopefully it encourages people to go get on the exchange. Okay, now they're not.
So it's
aware
a
of your plan.
deterrent to being on COBRA by not allowing it to be paid by the
They would probably
HRA.
go and use their HRA to go off and get their own insurance, not be a part. Lynn said it, they are still are experienced if they're on COBRA. And that affects your rates. And of course, when you're retired, you're older, and then you have more chances of being ill. And that means you're bringing up our experience. And that-
So it's a deterrent, but it's still not absolute. I mean, they still have that absolute.
It's encouraging them to go to the market and not be on the schools.
I think my biggest concern is that as we start allowing it, that people are gonna not even, they become customary and they're so used to what they do, they're not gonna look at that exchange, and they can get so much better insurance for the price there.
Well, with this time frame that you're talking about, Twyla.
It happens whether they pay it out of their pocket or not.
But if it comes out of the HRA at the end of the 18 months, is there going to be a lag there where all of a sudden these people find themselves without insurance without knowing?
No,
No, okay.
there's so many pieces to the puzzle that they would have plenty of warning, they know that their 18 months is
Is coming to.
coming to a close. Have to come up with plan B.
So it's only a deterrent, right? So if they wanna spend $200, $300, $400 more per month on health insurance, they can, just so they can pay it out of their HRA?
They cannot pay another HIA present.
Today,
At
right,
present,
right.
right.
But if we were to change it, they could.
And then increase what our experience is, so the premiums would go up.
Right.
That's my concern.
Doesn't seem like a sound, if I'm the employee, why would I pay $200, $300, $400 more per month than shopping around?
Unless your spouse was making more money, that they couldn't get a better deal in the exchange. That's when it's gonna affect somebody, it will hit them.
But they're gonna have, will they have a vehicle, you know, like an HSA, that they can take the money out and pay for?
Yeah, see, we don't know, that's at that point, we don't
Yeah.
know what that spouse or anybody else has, so we can't. we
So
have to
there's
take
a
that.
possibility of those few people having another vehicle rather than writing another check, but using that account, as a health savings account to pay the COBRA. They could do it that way. Yeah, so there really are other options when it comes to paying.
Right, the other options, but you still are discussing in the end, does people have the right to what, they still have the right to do it regardless.
Right.
We're just saying you're not allowed to do it with your money this way, you're only, I see absolutely both sides. It doesn't make sense, because it doesn't solve the problem. I understand the deterrent part, so I see both, and I see the other end. It's a sticky wicket, I think.
Key is that it affects your experience.
Yes.
And
That's
then
really the
everybody
bottom line.
pays for it.
Because they rate us, the experience goes more when they know that we do the HRA.
No,
No,
it has nothing to
it's
do with
experience when you go to the
claims.
doctor and you're.
No, so my question is, so if I'm, and I don't, you're not gonna be held to this because you're not an actuary. But if I'm the actuary looking at the school district of Amery and I see everything else being equal and, they let people pay with their HRA for their COBRA insurance and it's gonna cost this much, or they don't let people pay with their HRA and it's gonna be cheaper. There is
They look at your rated.
they do truly look at that.
And it looks at your age.
Yeah,
and
there's
a
a bunch of other factors.
But that is a factor in determining rate. Can they tell us, can they put that in writing to us that it does? Not that I don't believe, I just want them to say specifically that, yes, your experience, it is worse by,
Well, we have an email that we can show you what the lady.
you probably did already, and I probably don't remember it, so, yeah.
Well, I read the email and it didn't really specifically say that, it just recommended it.
Really, I don't know even if it's that so much, really, it's when somebody's on COBRA, they're more, if you look at the statistics, COBRA, you're more apt to, especially if you're retiring, you're gonna be out doing more of the health issues, more of those concerns, which will raise your experience rate. And that's the part, and that is, I guess, why most companies go the direction of not having it pulled out of their, you know, what they donated in there. I shouldn't say donated, that's the wrong word. What they had put in place. I don't know that there's a real right or wrong answer with this one. I just think that I'm just trying to look at the bottom line.
Well,
Which is my
basically,
biggest concern.
we're just forcing an issue that's coming 18 months. That
But we're
they're
gonna
going
have to make that decision
Well,
anyway, it's just how they're gonna pay
yeah,
for it, that's
I mean,
all.
that's
Yeah.
right.
That's
Yeah.
what
But
they're
in 18
discussing, is
months,
how
they're
they're
gonna
gonna
be
pay
on
for
the
it.
exchange or looking
The
for.
retirement funds,
health.
or do they have to be, I mean,
You know, I would, like I said, I agree, it would be dumb, first off, I think it'd be dumb to be, because our insurance is more expensive than, I don't, you know, when you look at, you're not just paying your 12% when you retire, you're paying 100% of the whole thing, and our plan is not cheap by any stretch. I mean, I gotta believe, even if you're making a lot of money, that you've gotta be able to find some plans to carry through. And secondly, no matter what's in that HRA, with that expensive plan that we have, you're gonna burn your entire HRA just on COBRA, and you're not gonna have anything happen. But again, that's not my decision to make, that to me would be the decision of an employee if they wanna be a little bit reckless that way, but I guess
and that's all I'm saying, it should be
Yeah.
up to the retired teacher to decide.
I see both ways, well, we get a month to think about it, right? So can we, Tori, can you add that to it for an action item next month? We can. Is that, anybody else, I don't wanna cut off any discussion early, so. Good deal. Now we can move on to our action items. The first is the WASB District Administrator Search Contract, and we did discuss this in open session, when Roger met with us. I think some of you folks were here that night. So we've already, agreed in principle, we just have to agree to the contract. And we did put the stipulation in not to exceed $10,000. Roger assured me again today that if it's over 6, he'll be surprised. So, but I put the extra cushion in there just because if we end up going for a longer period of time. But we can always, and we'll always deal with it at that point. So I would take a motion to accept that contract.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll
is there a
second.
second? There we go. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, the Clubhouse Child Care Program Playground Equipment. Saw a lot of cool stuff on that.
It's been fun.
Yeah, shopping and all kinds of fun.
All right, unfortunately, we only had 2 companies that did. River Leisure chose to not send me anything on time. I asked them. The first one is this one.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, just turn it on.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. This is from Lee. Okay, so that is the green doubles over there. So it would be 10,000 for that piece, plus we'd have to have it installed. So that is a little more than I would like to see come out of our budget for that.
They wouldn't let us do it without having somebody there, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, well, and actually, I talked to George,
Yeah.
before last week, and he actually thinks that he can get someone cheaper to do it, like Berghammer.
Of course you can. Because that's George.
Yeah, to save us some money, so.
Sharpen the pencil.
I mean, it's a
But they
great,
wouldn't bid it without the installation.
that is without the installation.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, it's just a supervisor, just one person coming and supervising our
It
people
says
to do
right
it.
below there at 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000.
Oh, okay, I see.
For
All
them
right.
to assemble it. Mhm.
Okay.
And then the other 3 drawings all came from Miller. So, this is the first one. So it's 3,500 if they install, which George.
And George thinks he can do it, he did do that? Okay.
Yeah, quite a bit cheaper than that.
Yep.
And then Steve Barrett, who's the rep from Miller, told me he would knock 1,500 off any of those prices if we're doing it ourselves. So he'd come up and just kind of walk George or whoever through it. And so we can take 1,500 off the 9,000 for that one. But actually the one that I think is best for the age group is, and these are all sideways, sorry about that. This one, number 2, it's at 8,931, we could take the 1,500 off, and then Cheryl Wesley was wonderful, and we have written a letter to someone in the community that she said helps pay for equipment that's handicap accessible. And we asked for a $1,400 donation for that piece because it has a handicap transfer station. Mhm.
And which one is that over there?
That's
It's the far left one. Yep, and then on the tube side, it actually has clear plexiglass on it, so we could see if a child hides in there on us.
Sure.
Or, yeah,
Sideways if you wish.
yeah,
There's the transfer station right
yeah. So that.
Which
is
one do you want?
That's the one I want.
That's
And it's
the one.
actually the cheapest of all of them, so, but it honestly is the one I want.
How many kids are going to be, cause I noticed the first one's 25 kids, the one you want is 17 capacity, this one's 22.
You know, at one time, there would probably only be one, maybe two classrooms out there, so you're at roughly around 10 children at a time, 20 max, but all of them wouldn't be on the equipment, because we'll have other things out there for them. Riding toys, balls, games, so, yeah.
And this is all money that we've already delegated into that whole refurbishing project, yeah, just so the community knows that this is not new money. It's just,
No.
yeah, money
And-
we've already planned.
Yes, and the fence is going up this week.
And electric.
there. Electric wire, yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions for me? Okay, I'd make a motion that we accept that third proposal, that
This, the one that
second,
you want, that one?
Yeah, drawing two.
drawing two, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So I would make a motion we accept drawing two.
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nina.
Next, the energy exemption project. We've been talking about this for a number of months, and I see, thank you for showing up. Oh, this should be easy. So, I don't know what we need to, we've been talking, if you got questions, but
This is the plan that we've been talking about, as Darren is alluding to, and it includes the bonding cost of $42.92. It includes the $13,500 for the fees, for the guarantee of the energy impact and savings to the district. And I would strongly recommend, Greg is here in case you have questions. But,
Can you do it cheaper?
Sure, you've heard George say
I've already been through the George mill.
I already went that way with him.
George is good, I know.
I struck him upside down, and there we go.
No, this is pretty, the performance fee is actually very reasonable, so, and I think they were able to actually work fairly, even give us a pretty good deal on just because of what we're planning out here.
Insight is that if you approve this tonight, we'll be able to order everything as of now. We can start, the freezer compressors can be done probably before school. The windows, if they're not done by school, they'll be done at least in September versus January. So things should be able to happen. The bus will be ordered. Obviously, the bus won't get here probably till spring at the earliest. And the minivans and cars, we could certainly start shopping and stuff.
And I think, do we have that, there was a one-sheeter on the propane bus, just some of the, you know,
Yes, the saving.
yeah, that thing. I think we should, do we have that posted on our website?
Yes,
anywhere?
it
We
is
do?
on the
Okay.
previous board member.
Just because people will have questions, I mean, this is a new thing for the district to go propane, and, you know, it's part of a long-term plan for us to replace, I think, kind of the way we thought about was our local bus routes, the shorter bus routes with the propane.
Yes.
Lots of benefits to it, including the green factor, the fuel factor, the savings, the cost, da-da-da-da-da.
They warm up faster.
They warm up faster in the winter, but it's not our intent to use those for the long hauls, like the athletic, like we're going to, well, we're not going to Durand anymore, thank goodness, but,
We're going somewhere.
yeah, we'll be going somewhere, but those buses really aren't made for that necessarily. They're made for it, but that's not our intent to use them that way. So not all the buses that we intend over the lifespan of things will be doing that, so, yeah.
And summer propane price was 87 cents, I called. That's pretty good.
I'm kind of excited, I think we're, you know, to do that, I think it's proactive on our part for a number of different reasons.
An item that you will want to know, how much will this cost, Steve? Oh, I'm glad you The best guess that we have right now with the revenue worksheets that we have, and of course it could change a little bit, it'll be $26.53 per contract.
And it falls off, that's a one-year deal, so it's paid for right away.
The
That's
third year we've utilized.
And we've utilized this, several years, and it's a good way that actually the government gave school districts to be able to do things like this, so it's nice to be able to utilize it. So, first, I guess I would make the motion that we accept that.
Second.
And Keith would second it. So, any questions or things? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go.
Came all the way for a quick one.
Instagram.
Oh, you're a good boy.
See you later tonight.
Yep, see you soon.
Back here.
Okay, the next is the approval of the meal prices. So this is one that drives me nuts.
I don't think you're alone.
Oh, my word. So this is basically, from what I understand, and tell me if I'm paraphrasing this wrong, we don't want to charge more for our lunch and our breakfast, but the federal government is making us.
Yeah.
Because they say we're too cheap, even though we are at a positive balance in our account. They're saying and this is federal. The federal student lunch program says we don't charge enough, we have to charge more, and we have no choice.
Correct.
So when it comes to September 1st and you put your kids' lunch money in, you can call the federal government and complain that that they're making us do this. We have no choice.
We're within 4 cents of maxing out, so next year, unless the numbers change, it'll be around a nickel, plus or minus a penny, and then you'll be at the top of the heap on charges, and the federal government will leave us alone.
So, and we had to do this last year when we didn't want to either.
Several years.
Yeah, this is all them making us charge more even though we don't need to.
Do they get to spend more on the food though?
April's been doing a lot to change their food offerings.
Well, I think that's kind of neat. Was she in here? She was in here talking about the fresh baked breads and some of that are coming this year. It's kind of exciting, some of the things we have planned. Well, we could have done that without charging an extra.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
So it'll change from $3.75 to $4.
No.
No? What?
Right now it's
It's currently $4.
That's for
$4.20.
adults.
That's $4.30.
$4.30.
Right.
It's $4.30 right now, but
Oh.
April's recommendation would be to reduce it because we don't need the revenue and to encourage more staff to take advantage
Oh.
of the meals.
So we'd rather
So
have
her
that at
recommendation-
$3.75.
She said she would recommend $3.75, but $4 would be perfectly acceptable. So it's totally up to you. And then this would be a change too. Breakfast meals, reduced eligible meals would be no charge, same
Okay.
as, it's usually 30 cents.
So she's trying to be aggressive and at least
Oh.
trying to find saves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Her budget can cover the,
It's just our overall costs that we have to have at a certain level.
well, the
right?
actual prices have to be
Yeah.
at a certain level.
Okay.
But, so the $3.75 or the $4 is up to you, and the no charge would be a change, that the department will absorb with no problem.
Okay. Great. So can I get a motion for that?
I move we accept these with the $3.75 for the adult lunch price and the no charge for the reduced meal breakfast price.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dale. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That one's done. The next, the 15-16 certified staff negotiation imposed settlement. Keith or Dale?
Well, we did meet within the last month with the staff, and I think it was a very positive meeting, I think, and I know a couple of the members are here tonight as well. So, as a result, we had a little over, $106,600 budgeted for the teacher's salary increases, and we're allowing, I guess, for the staff movement, which is about $63,000, and that's movement up the scale. And then the balance of that, about $43,000, will be divided among all the other staff members. So a total of roughly $106,600. And I guess probably fair to say everybody will, or all teachers will be getting some increase. So it's
The increase or spend?
The,
Stipend, I guess, I mean,
yeah.
Salary and
salary,
Yeah,
yeah.
the salary scale is.
One way or another.
3 levels,
Okay.
and then they move, 3 positions, and then they move to another level.
Yes.
So that's where the
The salaries-
63,000 comes from,
Yeah.
is that movement from one level to the next level. Yeah.
So the additional over that is a one-time division, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
So the scale stays the same,
Yeah.
it's just where people fall on that scale. The number of people will be moving up the scale, which accounts for about $63,000. And then, the balance, $43,000 will be divided among staff members, remaining staff members.
That's the one-time.
One-time stipend, if you will, yes. So, I guess if there's no other questions, I would, make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, revised extra C salary schedule. We, as a board, asked Mr. Shield and the administrators, I think, to get together and do some revisions on our extra C schedule. I think Dale and I, we kind of mentioned, I think we've changed this maybe once in the last 15 years to 20 years.
And that was, if we
It was
did, it was
pretty-
very
yeah.
minimal, yeah.
So we've found that we're considerably below in most areas of paying for extra C than other districts. With this change, we're still considerably below most districts when it comes to paying extra C, but we were able to make some changes to adequately, at least to acknowledge the extra work that people that are our staff and those in the community who do extra C work for us. They don't do it for the money, there's no question about it. I mean, but it's what we could do in there, so this would reflect those changes.
Much better than what it was, but still probably on the low end of most.
And I want you board members to know, there are some of the positions that did get reduced in the plan.
Yeah.
Because the meeting with Mr. Gould, Mr. Durfler, and Mr. Benson, how those programs have changed over the years. Some went up and some went down.
I think some of the bigger jumps up were obviously in our coaching programs.
That's correct. We've got $20,000 in.
Yeah, the like the head football coach, well, all the head coaches right down the list, all got,
But some of the extra C,
Yeah.
non-coaching got bumps too.
yep. Yeah, you're right.
Can you scroll it up just a little? Stop. Where was that one? Sports activities announcer?
That's true.
That's Sherman.
Oh.
That's a Sherman fund right there.
Yep.
That's his
And I think
first-
that from
that's
looking,
his
I think
first
that was
raise.
pretty close to the same.
I thought that's his first raise since I started here, in 23 years, but he reminds me of that. He's been at 2205 since I started here. So, he better, I expect, we expect a thank you card, I'm sure. Big money right there.
So we asked the administrators to do this last month, and they came back with this recommendation. I think it was great work. Appreciate everybody's input. And I think it's something that we as a board need to just make sure that we continue to monitor annually to make sure that we're never gonna be, you're never gonna come to Amery just to coach football, I'll tell you that, for the money. It's just not gonna happen, but we certainly appreciate our coaches. I'll make a motion to accept that salary schedule.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Personnel.
At this time, I want to recognize the resignation of Tracy Will, elementary teacher. Wish her the very best. We'll talk about contracts being issued at the end of the evening, but I want to take a moment to thank you, the board members, for the 14 years. I know not everybody's been on board for the full 14 years, but it's been a great ride. David Duxbury, Jane Johnson, Dan Draxler, John Northway, and the late Sid Bjorkman were the board members that hired me, and I truly appreciate them making that decision. I want to thank all of you, board members. You've been very, very supportive, and it's been excellent. You guys have done a great job. And people don't realize the asset that you are. because, you know, the board as a whole for many, many years, probably for 50 years, because you've only had 4 district administrators in over 50 years. That is very rare. And all the board members before you are to be complimented for being supportive and of the administrator and of the teachers and the support staff and supporting the school district to make it a good one, a very good one. I want to thank the administrators at the other side of the room. Thank you all. It's been great. Been very supportive. You guys have done a wonderful job, and I thank each one of you. To the teachers and support staff, thank you. It's been a great ride. Office staff.
It won't be right.
I want to thank Corey and Twyla and Paulette, Jelaine, who just recently retired, and now Stacy. I want to thank Tanya, too. You guys have done great. I thank you.
And we thank you. Anything else? Okay. With that, I will take a motion to reconvene into closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility in order to take personnel action pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851. Where we proceed.